Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. Joining me on the phones right now, live from Washington, D.C., the Honorable Senator from Texas, John Cornyn. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Chad. Good to be with you on this historic day.
Well, it is a historic day. It's a day where you would hope for unity. Of course, we're not completely seeing that, but set the stage for us in Washington and what you're anticipating for today.
Well, it's pretty clear that the voters wanted a change in direction for the country, and they certainly gave us an unconventional president, but one that I am very excited about because I don't think he's going to be constrained by the typical sort of ideological arguments that seem to tie Washington in knots. And I think as a businessman, he's used to surrounding himself with talented people, which he has in his cabinet picks and the vice president, and finding solutions to problems and moving things forward. So I really do believe that's what people wanted in this election, and it's going to be quite a ride.
What have the last 24 hours been like in Washington, D.C., and for yourself?
Well, primarily what we're working on in the Senate is what one of my colleagues likes to call the personnel business. We have the responsibility to provide advice and consent or confirm the president's cabinet nominees. And so, of course, I've been participating in hearings with Jeff Sessions as the next Attorney General, Steve Mnuchin, who's the Treasury Secretary designee. Yesterday I had the opportunity to introduce to the Energy Committee Governor Rick Perry, who's going to be the next Secretary of Energy. And, of course, we have another Texan who's been nominated for Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson. So that's primarily what I've been doing and what the Senate's been doing these past couple weeks. But the next order of business is to keep the promise we made to the American people to repeal and replace Obamacare. And we've taken the first step to do that. And I look forward to providing people more affordable health care that they choose for themselves rather than have it shoved down their throat by the federal government.
Senator, I brought up unity earlier when I first brought you on, and as you know, on the House side, no, I don't believe anyone on any Democrats on the Senate side, but on the House side, you have 65 or so Democrats who are refusing to show up to today's inauguration. What signals does that send within Congress and within, between Democrats and Republicans and trying to work together to better this country?
Well, it doesn't help. And I'll have to tell you, Chad, I mean, this is a tough election, as all elections are, and not everybody gets to win. You have a winner and a loser. But there's no dishonor in actually losing an election, but I think there is dishonor in the way you conduct yourself afterwards. We would call this bad sportsmanship if this were a sport, but it's even more important than that because, as you point out, we're all Americans. We want our country to succeed, and I just think it's really not. It doesn't help these people who are boycotting the inauguration, and they're not going to be able to change the outcome. So I would say to them, the election's over. Now it's time to come together and govern.
On the Senate side, and for you and for other lawmakers, what happens today after the inauguration? Because all we hear about are the balls tonight and the parade today. Is there going to be any work that gets done in Washington D.C. today?
Yeah, well, the first thing that President Trump will do is sign a number of executive orders rescinding or vacating some of the last-minute executive orders issued by President Obama. President Obama was very busy while he was on his way out the door, granting commutations to prisoners and issuing a flurry of executive orders, which has been part of the problem, unfortunately, in the signature of his administration. So President Trump will start unwinding those immediately, and then we'll convene this afternoon, the Senate will, to take up the confirmation of some members of the president's cabinet. When this happened in 2009, after President Obama was sworn in on January the 20th, 7 7 cabinet members were confirmed. And right now the Democrats are saying that they're only going to allow a couple to be confirmed. I hope they reconsider that, because for the same reason these folks who are boycotting the inauguration are dishonoring themselves after a highly competitive election. I just think it doesn't accomplish anything for our Democratic friends, because thanks to Harry Reid and the nuclear option, all of them will be confirmed. All they can do is delay it, and I don't think that serves anybody's interest.
And I know you have to get going to the inauguration, but real quick, can you explain to our listeners how Democrats are able to slow down that confirmation process? As you said, you confirmed, the Senate confirmed so many other Democratic cabinet members under President Obama compared to what Democrats are doing now.
Well, I think some of it is a result of really a surprising outcome in the election. All of the pollsters and the pundits thought that Hillary's going to win, and I don't think it's any surprise that the Trump transition wasn't quite up to speed that you might otherwise expect. Hillary was already measuring the curtains, as you might imagine. But a lot of this is incredibly document intensive. Steve Mnuchin mentioned that he'd had to produce 5,000 documents. He had to have lawyers and accountants help him go through all of his personal finances to root out conflicts of interest and to answer questions from the committee. So a lot of this is just very intensive, the sort of scrutiny and vetting that you would expect for people in high office like Treasury Secretary, Secretary of Defense, and the like. But some of it is more than that, or less than that, I should say. It's really just foot dragging. And so there's nothing to be accomplished. It's just using the Senate rules or doing everything they can to drag their heels to get to expedite the confirmation of this incredible cabinet.
Senator, I know you've got to get going to the inauguration and all the events. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for getting in touch with us today.
Thanks, Chad. Take care.
Appreciate it. That's U.S. Senator John Cornyn here on the Chad Hasty Show.